You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 499 of Podketeers. In this episode, we talk about the Golden Globes, some of the awards that Disney brought home, and some of the controversy at the show. I do a quick follow-up on some things I learned about Steamboat Willie entering the public domain. And can you believe it? We are one episode away from our 500th episode. It's crazy, I know. We'll tell you a little bit more about some of what's coming in that episode, but all I'll say for now is we're pretty excited about it. So we would love for you to join the conversation on our social networks, including Instagram and Facebook, but we invite you to join us on Discord. Joining the community is super simple. Just head on over to podketeers.com/links and click on the Discord button to join our community. We would also like to take a moment to acknowledge a very special group of listeners known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. As part of the FGP Squad family, you get some additional perks like exclusive discount codes for Podketeers gear, additional content that we upload to Patreon, access to our happy hour calls when we get an opportunity to do those, random giveaways, discount codes for new Podketeers gear, a special section of Discord, and more. If you would like to become part of the FGP Squad family and want a little more information, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. And of course, as always, a super special thank you goes out to the FGP Squad for their continued support. So that's gonna wrap up the intro. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome. We hope that you enjoy the episode and that you come back for more. And of course, if you've been hanging with us for a while, welcome back, friends. Here is episode 499 of Podketeers.
Slide to the left.
Clappity clap.
Slide to the right.
Woo. That's not what came to my head. When you said clappity clap, I thought clappity clap, don't talk back.
Oh, like yakety yak. Oh no, that's yakety sax.
But I thought clappity clap. Clappity clap.
Clappity clap. Clap on,
Take out
clap
the paper
off.
from the trash.
A clapper.
Oh, yes. Available at Walgreens. Hashtag not sponsored.
This just reminds me of, as before I went to high school, I got Wayne's World on DVD as a Christmas gift one year. And we were my dad was building a house at the time, so we were living in a trailer on the property while the house was getting built. And so for Christmas, I got a portable DVD player and like 3 DVDs for my part of the Christmas present. And so one of them was a box set of Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2. I've probably seen Wayne's World. Yeah, excellent. But the menu for that was like it was like TV commercials. And the clapper was one of them. That's why I bring it up. But it's just like ingrained in my brain, this menu. I've probably watched Wayne's World, I don't know, 200 times, at least parts of it. And then I'd wake up and the DVD menu would be on and it's all these commercials and stuff just playing in a loop. Because I'd fall asleep to it. Yeah.
Around that time, I remember if you were up at that time, it's when those Time Life or those collections where it was like Michael Bolton and like Celine Dion. It's like, tell me, how am I supposed to live without you?
All the greatest hits on one CD. Featuring...
I think that's actually from Saved by the Bell. I don't know.
Such hits
but
as...
I feel like that's what it was. Yakety yak.
Yakety yak. And the theme song to Cheers.
When the weight of the world has got you down. No, wait. That's actually the Flaming Moe song. Never mind.
And
my
the
brain's all
Flaming
over
Moe.
the place right now.
Close enough.
Now
Yeah,
that's what I
enough,
call TV Songs 22.
Those were the days, man. Those
Just
were the
send a
days.
self-addressed stamped envelope and a prepaid check to the address on your screen, $19.99 plus $19.99 shipping and handling.
Right?
That's why you would just have to sign up through like Columbia House or BMG or something and get everything for a penny
Except for that
using
last
a name
one.
like Homer Simpson. And then when they sent the bill and they were like, Homer Simpson, you got to send us your subscription for this $30 CD to continue, you would just send it back and be like, Homer Simpson doesn't live here. And then you would set up another one with like Marge Simpson and then get a whole bunch more free CDs. And then when they finally caught on and they blacklisted your address, you would use the neighbor and tell them that it was coming. So you end up with a whole bunch of CDs. It
Back in my day, we had to sign up for Columbia House Records.
That's
I
right.
mean, how
We
many
did.
of us have how many, Gmail accounts?
The disc man would run out
Listen.
of AA batteries when I was delivering the paper.
Jeez.
It would skip with every little movement. You couldn't tap your pencil on the table without the Discman skipping.
Oh gosh.
So do you,
Those were the
here's
days.
a question. Hazen, do your kids know what a CD is?
A music CD, probably not, because they've never had to experience it.
They know like a disc
Discs,
is. Yeah.
in general, they are, because we have Blu-rays and DVDs that they watch.
Okay.
But, of course, the games that they play are also on Blu-ray discs. So
Yeah.
they're familiar with them. But the music version of discs, I don't believe so.
Or what about like a VHS tape? Would they know what, if you gave them a VHS tape with no label on it?
They'll
would they
know a VHS.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and the only reason they know about a VHS is because of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, bringing it back. Classic. You got to play the video games
Yeah.
to know what VHS is. Well, there you go. Your kids are
Yeah.
doing all right.
Yep.
Yeah, they know a little bit about the lost media of yesteryear.
Oh, and it's like vinyl's coming back and all this stuff. It was like,
Oh, they're familiar with vinyl.
yeah. That
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure this is a thing. This is not new news, but like vinyl is outselling CDs because
believe
people
it.
just want to buy vinyl. Like,
Yeah.
I guess online sales worth are different, right? But when there's stores
Yeah.
like Best Buy, which are really the only place other than like maybe Walmart and Target that carried physical media, giving up on it and just getting rid of all their Blu-rays, DVDs, and all that stuff, I can see why.
yeah.
But yeah, the craze of vinyl is definitely big. I have added. I mean, I had vinyl from before. I wasn't big on collecting it. I did have a bunch of Disney records, like older ones. But the recent ones, I did get the Guardians of the Galaxy on vinyl. I got the Disney collection. I have a
Disney
few of the Taylor
100
Swift
collection.
albums. The Disney 100 collection, yeah. And then I have some Taylor Swift albums on vinyl. That's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of vinyl.
I got the Weird, the Al Yankovic Story album on vinyl.
That's
I got
awesome.
that for Christmas. I buy
Yeah.
vinyl if I like either the artwork on it. That's usually, my record player and everything's kind of in like stored away, and I have to get a new needle for it. But I have that, and then I recently got I don't remember the Bowser
Oh,
Peaches
that's right.
Oh, I remember the Peaches vinyl. Yeah,
vinyl. Yeah, it finally came in.
Yeah.
It's still in the plastic. Once I finally get a record player out, I'm sure I'll play these. But the box was just too cool not to get. It's all like laser cut the word Bowser, and you can see him through it. It's very cool. So, or if
Yeah.
it's got like a cool.
Well, that same company,
Yeah.
that's the I Am 8-Bit press, right?
I believe yes, it is.
Yeah, so that same company, there's been one vinyl that I've been after for a long time that I keep hoping that they repress at some point. They released the Gravity Falls soundtrack
Oh.
with like some really crazy cool artwork like several years ago. When did they release it? It's actually been a while. It's in stock right now.
Get it now.
Oh
You can
yeah,
stop
I'm adding
recording.
this to
Just
cart.
go get it. Just go get it.
My damn. Yep. I'm actually adding it right now. View cart. Wait, what else do they have? That's in stock. Hold on.
Oh, it's a
Hold
double,
on.
and it's a double album.
It's a double.
Wait,
yeah.
there's more.
But did
And
you see the artwork? The
there's a-
artwork looks super cool.
It looks like it's, well, it might just be because the picture's like, is it UV? But it's clear red vinyl.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You know why? You know what's cool about the artwork? Like, the art looks like it. So if you remember Gravity Falls, or if you had an opportunity to watch it, there was the Weird Mageddon episodes that essentially ended the series, right? Where everything gets like super crazy and Bill Cipher's like trying to take over. Everything looks like it's like all psychedelic and everything as part of Weird Mageddon. The artwork on this album is very similar to what happened in Weird Mageddon. But what I also like about it is that it's very like there's like this rolly crumpness to it that I really like.
Yeah.
Like it's like this weird like rolly style art that I don't know, like it just I don't know. It just reminds me.
Yeah, the colors, the style of how everything
Exactly. And so I think that's what attracted me to the set originally. I had like no idea that it was back in stock. I'm so buying this. Okay, hold on. Let me check one more.
They have
thing
the
here.
Muppets Christmas Carol vinyl. Apparently that's a thing. I'm looking at all their vinyl that they have.
Oh, they have the Mario one too.
They have the full double album Mario. Welcome to the Vinyl Cast. We're your hosts.
Where we
We'll
talk
just
about
list
music on vinyl.
We'll just list things that I Am 8-Bit has for sale. How about
Oh, they have the Cuphead.
Battletoads
the Cuphead
and
soundtrack's
Battle
actually pretty good.
Maniacs vinyl soundtrack? Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. I don't know.
All
what
right,
some
I'm
of these
actually
are.
going to have to do this after because now I feel like I have to look through this to see if there's anything else I want to get. But now that I
Teenage
know-
Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time
This is so
vinyl.
good. They're heroes in a half shell, don't you know?
Do 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 do. Bum. Turtle power.
That's right.
Tower power.
Turtle
Turtle
power indeed.
Turtle
Oh my
power.
god, this is so good. All right,
Turtle
well,
Tower.
I know what I have to look through once we're done recording.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my vinyl collection so far. I'll probably end up adding a few other things. They're more readily available. The other thing that I've been looking for that I haven't been able to get is the Haunted Mansion vinyl. That one's one that's been on my list for a while as well. But I also haven't been actively looking for it. That's the other thing, because I know it pops up here and there.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't actively looking for this Gravity Falls one. It was just like one of those like wish list items for me. So now that it's back up, like now I'm just going to take advantage. But yeah, I gave into the vinyl craze a little bit and bought multiple things on vinyl. Even if you don't play them, like the artwork and the actual discs themselves, like as art pieces, I think are super cool.
Exactly.
There's like a rush of like even if you're going to like a thrift store or something and you find something that's like hasn't been in circulation, or I mean honestly it's like I find that as treasure hunting, and it's like if I find something, snatch it. Like,
no, it's true. You know, when the like 3 or 4 years ago, when it was really difficult to find a Switch or a PS5 or anything like that, retro gaming got really big because it was so much more accessible, where you could go to a GameStop or even on eBay, you could find used copies of like PS1, PS2 games, PS3. People were breaking out their old N64s and Dreamcasts and Sega Genesis and all that stuff. And so retro gaming had this like huge resurgence at the time. So much that games that were originally selling on the used market before everything exploded were going for like $5 to $7. All of a sudden started selling for a couple $100 per game because they started to become so scarce out in the market. So I mean, there's always good and bad to like these crazes that end up happening, right? Because when something gets super popular, obviously scarcity will bring in more money. It's the mentality of the scalpers. with Disney merchandise, right? They go out and they buy all of the merch that they can on multiple credit cards with multiple friends, and then they upsell it on eBay or whatever they try to sell it on for 10 times the amount that it was available when it got released. It's that mindset of just trying to make as much money as possible. And if you get lucky and you can make your money back or make some kind of profit, then great. It doesn't make me like those Disney scalpers anymore. I think they're demons, but
Accurate.
It is what it is. Maybe demons was a little harsh, but you know what I mean. Let's see. What do we got in this episode? Man, I'm so excited. Like, we're nearing episode 500. We're going to talk a little bit about that before we close out the episode. But, oh, man, it's $4.99, dude. Like,
the
we're
precipice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so there. Like, now is the time for that second wind, right? Make sure that you can cross that finish line. Take your shot of Gatorade that they throw in your face and just keep pushing through. You're gonna make it after all.
Right. So close. It's a trip. It's a trip.
I mean, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the podcast, right? And we originally launched in June of 2014, and I don't know, there's definitely been a lot of changes. We definitely started as one thing and we've evolved, over time. We've had, multiple people sitting in the co-hosting chairs, and, every chapter of the podcast has been so fun and so different that I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it.
I know how. Our tagline, we keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's definitely the case, right? There's been a lot of instances where we just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But, you've been here since the beginning, right?
Practically.
You may not have been co-hosting, from the beginning, but you were one of the original people that I talked to when it was just an idea. Like, this was
just
one of those things where... Yeah, we were at an art walk, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to do this podcasting thing. I don't know what we're going to do. I kind of have this name. I'm kind of thinking, this podcasting Mouseketeers. And, there was, all the, and I kept talking about it. And every month for, probably 6 months.
Yeah.
Leading up to the final release of the podcast, I just kept talking about it, and I just kept coming up with concepts of what the logo would look like. And then I remember when I finally got together with the guys to really launch it, I was neurotic about it because I was scared. I didn't know if we were going to be successful or what was going to happen or anything like that. And so I had this idea, we had never podcasted. We had never done anything. We just knew that it sounded like something fun that we could do together. Right.
Right.
And the idea was kind of to get together and just kind of shoot the breeze with each other and just kind of talk about whatever and just kind of have that Disney inclined conversation. But at the beginning it was more of everything.
Yeah,
it wasn't just Disney. It was kind of anything we wanted to talk about. But I remember talking to them and saying what if before we got to the first episode, the official launch episode, we created a countdown, right? Where we kind of got a few episodes under our belt to kind of get used to the whole idea, figure out our dynamic and stuff like that, so that we didn't feel anxious about the first one being the first one, because we kind of already had a few episodes under our belt at that time. And in my head, I was like, we'll do 6 of them. And originally, I think the guys went along with it because they were just being supportive. They knew I was being neurotic about it. I can admit it now. I was being super neurotic about it. And they were going along with it to help me through it. And we did one. And after that, we were like, let's just launch it. Screw it. Like, they convinced me basically that it was going to be better if we just learned on the fly. Like, we never released that original episode that we recorded. It didn't turn into episode 1. It was just another conversation that we had. We touched on some of the subjects that eventually made it into episode 1. But yeah, we did one of them. And then they were like, we should just release this. We should just do it. And they convinced me. And I remember just being super anxious about it. And it took us a while. Like, it took us maybe a good 2 months to really begin to spread the word and to get, an audience built. But eventually we did. We had a lot of help from a lot of people in the Disney community. We had a lot of help from, at the time, there was a lot of social clubs that were going to Disneyland, and they were like, going around taking pictures and stuff of the parks. And I became friends with a lot of people from the social clubs because I was going to the parks like 4 to 8 times a month at the time, once a week, if not twice, when I had an opportunity to go Saturday and Sunday, sometimes even Friday nights we would go. And, that's kind of where it all kind of began to snowball. Like, in the first year, we built a really, really strong following. It even surprised us that we were able to grow as much as we did in that first year. And, it's been an amazing ride so far. The first 10 years of the podcast have seen some ups and downs, obviously. Like, for me personally, the last multiple amount of years have been just strange. They were just something I never expected to happen, and it definitely changed my pattern of having the ability to go to the park way more than I would have ever wanted in my life. But it did, and now we've adjusted, and I've thankfully I've had you two to help me through a lot of that, and to be the rocks that I need to really help keep things as stable as we've been able to keep them. And Larry going to the parks and streaming and stuff. It's been a little different, but it's still fun. Yeah. And that's really, I think, what it comes down to. Like, one of the things I keep looking forward to every week is just having the opportunity to sit with you guys and just talk. Whether it's Disney or not, or whatever we talk about, it's just fun still, right?
Talk, vents, you name it.
yeah, and some of those vent sessions, oh man,
they help though.
I'm so glad some of those aren't recorded.
Yep,
I'll say that.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to be recording that then?
Oh, damn it!
Saving those for another time.
Oh, that's good. That's good. They can go in the archives for the
for another
archive.org at some point. They'll go up on archive.org at some point.
There we go.
Yeah, so episode 500 is coming. We'll talk a little bit more about what we have planned towards the end of the episode. So we're looking forward to that. In the meantime, let's talk about some other Disney stuff that's going on. Andrew, I don't know about either one of you. I don't frequently watch award shows because they sometimes, I don't know, I get upset when the things that I'm rooting for don't win. And so I just kind of stay away and just like, I'll get the announcements after, and, then it is what it is at that point, right? Mm-hmm. But I heard Disney won some stuff at the Golden Globes. What did they win?
So I popped up on my, I believe it was Instagram today. I just passingly saw, and we were coming up with stuff to talk about. I was like, oh, I remember they, said, won some Emmys, or not Emmys, Golden Globes, sorry. And so the Walt Disney Company owns a plethora of things. So there are 2 projects or properties that won awards. One is a FX/Hulu production called The Bear. That one's 3 Golden Globes, one for Best Television Series, Musical or Comedy, Best Performance by an Actress in a Television Series, Musical or Comedy to Io Debris, and Best Performance by an Actor in a Television Series, Musical or Comedy, Jeremy Allen White. That is it for The Bear is now, according to this, now streaming on Hulu. And the other project is looks like a Fox Searchlight picture called Poor Things. Won 2 awards, Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, and Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Emma Stone. So yeah, there's some Emmys out there, I keep saying Emmys because I keep thinking it was the Emmys that I saw, but it's the Golden Globes. There were Weird Al just won an Emmy for his
and that
movie.
matters.
It does matter, but that's why it's on my brain, because they do all the like they do all the technical and music and all these other awards not in the actual televised ceremony. They do them in a separate one. So I know, like, I was looking it up. Disney won at the Emmys for children's and family Emmys. They won Emmys for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur that had 4 wins. And then awards for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and the animated series Baymax. So there's awards that are out there. I guess it's award season.
Yep.
Interesting.
So like how you mentioned Weird Al, and that's the only reason you've paid it.
That's on my brain.
Attention.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really pay attention, but of course, when I see Barbie in the news, you got my attention. So, like I said, I wasn't paying attention to all the awards or anything, but I know this didn't. Well, actually, no. This didn't win. The movie didn't win for like best film, all that stuff, but it took home a cinematic and box office achievement. And it's a little interesting because it's a new category. So I was like, I wasn't too sure what this was, because we know like the most known, like actor, actress, screenplay, drama. That I don't know everything, but you get my point. And I'm like, you know what? I finally get to talk about Barbie. First off, let me just say, as much as I love all things Barbie, I haven't seen the film. I know I'm gonna love it, so there's that. I just haven't had a chance to like sit and watch it, even though I sit at a computer a lot. I need to focus on it and not really work, so that's why I haven't seen it. So there's my defense. But I'm like, yeah, I'm taking advantage and talking about this because we didn't get this chance as we were standing, in solidarity with everybody in the strike. And that hurt because that was like exactly when the movie dropped, and it's like, oh, okay. So I'm just happy, and it took, you know what? I see like who was nominated. Great films, of course. But Barbie broke a lot of records and stuff. So that's awesome. Yay. I'm going to watch this film this year. Eventually. But yeah, it just feels good when Barbie's like mentioned in general, because it was always everyone looked down on this doll and this and that, blah blah blah. But it's like more good stuff. I love it. I love it. So there's my piece.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because what you said at the end there about how people just made fun of the doll in general, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess there was this huge controversy with the host of the Golden Globes, because in the opening monologue, he said a lot of things that kind of reduced the Barbie movie to some misogynistic comments and stuff. So I did watch the Barbie movie, and I have to say, like, one, I really enjoyed it, right? I think the message overall of the film was a really powerful one. And I think in a year, Barbie, part of the reason it broke so many records is, one, because it was a good movie, two, because it kind of it revived cinema. Right? People going to the movies in a way that other films were unable to do.
Right.
Along with those accomplishments, there's been a lot of articles about the success of Beyonce and Taylor Swift touring and everything that they've been able to do. The host of the Golden Globes also hit Taylor Swift with a comment during the opening monologue. And so people were like really angry about how he was trying to demean both, Taylor and the Barbie movie, and basically what he was trying to reduce it down to. But when you think about how strong, it was just a really strong year for women in media, right? Like every time I read an article about, like, I don't keep up with Beyonce as much, but like whenever I would read an article about Taylor Swift going to a city, like the economy would boost like crazy, right? Like hotels would fill up. People were coming in from other cities, from out of state, from out of the country to go to the Eras Tour. She was essentially helping and tipping all of the truckers, all of the, the people on the staff in the hotels. Like it was crazy how much she was helping all of the towns that they would take the Eras Tour into, right? And it was something that hadn't been done in years. So it was a really strong year in general, and to have it be demeaned, as much as it was as part of that opening monologue was kind of bad to see, obviously. But I think you're going to like the movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I think when you finally have a chance to watch it, you're really going to like it. But I was thinking also, you were mentioning Weird Al. You had Weird Al on your mind because he won. Mm-hmm. Did you see his post that after the Golden Globes,
he
went to In-N-Out?
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in a booth at In-N-Out eating his food with the Golden Globe statue just sitting on the table there. It was like the best thing ever.
I think the comment was something along the lines of, they wouldn't let us in at the after party at Arby's.
That's fantastic. Pretty historic night. I think Ali Wong won for Best Actress for Beef. I think she was like the first Asian American woman to win the award, so it was a pretty historic night. And Steven Yeun was only the second Asian American to win Best Male, I believe, if I remember that correctly. I saw them as posts as I was scrolling through some other stuff, so if I got that wrong, please drop a comment, let us know what it was. But if I remember correctly, that's what they won for. So, the Golden Globes happen, and I guess people no longer like the host. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But and then you also mentioned that Disney Plus is launching a new series this week, right?
Yes, the 9th is the release of the series, Marvel series Echo. You may remember from what was that? Hawkeye. With Kingpin and who else was in there? The Daredevil guy.
Yeah.
And Maya Lopez character name plays Echo. If I remember correctly, she is deaf or something along those lines. Does ASL? I'm sorry, I don't remember all of these things. And but the series is coming to Disney Plus on the 9th, but it's having some firsts for Disney Plus. It's the first show to be released both simultaneously on Disney Plus and Hulu. And it's also the first MCU project to have a MA rating, so TVMA, for the series Echo. So it's quite interesting. It's also going to be releasing all of its 5 episodes on the 9th.
Nice. I would have sworn that the first thing to get an MA rating on Hulu or Disney Plus as far as Marvel content was going to be Deadpool.
That's what we all thought, because it's Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool's pretty out there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed this. Yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it's technically not the first Marvel property to get an MA rating. It's the first time that the Disney side of Marvel has produced it, right? Because technically, when they were on Netflix, Jessica Jones, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Defenders, Iron Fist, I think one or more of those shows was TVMA. But
yeah,
it
I think
wasn't,
this is technically, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they weren't like the actual, like it wasn't Feige behind the projects. It was, they were just using the Marvel characters and the Marvel branding, which is why it gets a little muddy because we never, at least now I think they are recognized as canon somehow because we got Daredevil in Hawkeye and they kind of brought the same character in. So I guess they're all kind of canon at this point. But at the time, they were just considered side stories. They weren't really considered Marvel canon because they weren't a Kevin Feige production.
Yes, this is the first MCU, like completely, like, yes, like you're saying, TV or Disney Marvel production with TVMA. And according to this post, it is also it's officially part of Phase 5 of the MCU, this series. So it's not like it's not going to be one of the like Werewolf by Night or whatever, where it's just like a special Marvel thingy or whatever they're calling them, a Marvel special presentation.
I like it. It's a good thing to kick it off. It's I like the character of Echo. It's funny, like in the comics, in Hawkeye, Clint takes the mantle of Ronin. Like that's already something that had been established, right? Like he's oh man, did I just spoil the series? Spoiler alert, by the way. Sorry.
It's been out for a couple of years. I think you're okay.
Okay, good. But in the comics, Maya takes the mantle of Ronin for a while. So I don't know if that's going to be incorporated into the series somehow, but there's been like 3 or 4 people that have been the Ronin in the comics, including Blade.
Oh,
yes, Vampire
okay.
Blade. Like Blade was like found like some of Clint's old things at one point and became Ronin. I forgot what it was part of. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I wonder if they're going to eventually incorporate the Ronin character into like the Echo character.
Yeah, I guess it'll be possible.
Yeah, it'll be good to see.
And it looks like I'm also reading this. I had to click on a hyperlink to answer this question. So this is part of the first. Echo is the first of the Marvel Spotlight series. And so according to this, the Marvel Spotlight series are MCU, basically in the MCU universe, but are focusing on like street level stakes and street level stuff versus like, you know, aliens
and stuff.
And, oh yeah, global and multiverse and whatever. It's just kind of like basically what the Netflix shows did already, but done again.
I mean, I kind of like that because I feel like you could relate a little bit more to it. It's when it gets like scary close to real life when you're like, wait, why is this mirroring real life? Like, go back to Aliens, go back to Infinity Stones. You know, before you know it, you end up with a Marvel episode of Black Mirror, and then you're like, no, I don't like this anymore.
Get me off this ride.
Yeah, I want off. Where's the E-stop?
Right?
But yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad that they're dropping all of the episodes. I remember we asked this question at one point with the release of like WandaVision and some other stuff, but where did you land and has it changed? Do you like when they release them weekly or do you like when they drop everything at once?
I like weekly because I don't finish it as fast, but if you watch it entirely, you won't get you're not going to get spoiled by it. So
yeah, I don't remember where I landed exactly on it, but I think I landed on weekly because it puts people on a more leveled playing field and they can't spoil it for you. And that was my biggest issue with it, where, if I only had time to watch 2 episodes and everybody else was like, I'm marathoning this till 5 a.m., I'm watching everything. Like the next morning, you're on a YouTube or like a Instagram post or TikTok, and they're like, can you believe the end of blah, blah, blah? And then they're posting like video clips. I'm like, come on, man. That's why, remember, there was like this whole effort with Miss Minutes and stuff where they were like, hey, don't spoil it for other people. It was specifically because people were doing that crap. Like they were just posting what the endings were and everything. So I might be, if that was my answer before, I might be sticking to it. Where do you land, Andrew? Weekly or like just drop them all?
I think it really depends. Like I have a hard time keeping up with weekly sometimes because like we still have like one episode of Loki I haven't watched. Like I watched all the rest of them and just like they're coming out weekly, and then I was like, I got busy and I forgot about it. Where it's like if they're all there, I can just be like, okay, I have 5 hours to kill or a weekend. I can knock these out and get the whole series done. Depending if it's 5 episodes or 8 or 10 at the most. Usually these series are. So it really kind of depends. I do like having stuff to have on a weekly basis. So things like when we were watching Only Murders in the Building, that was a weekly show, and I really liked how that came out because like, okay, hey, there's a new thing to watch this week. But sometimes stuff just feels like homework. Like it's like I want to watch this, but also it's
Secret Wars.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, that's like Loki. I really liked everything I watched, but sometimes it's like not in the mood to watch it. You got to be like in the mood to like watch some of these things. Yeah. I watched the first 10 minutes of Secret Wars. I haven't watched the rest of it yet.
You're not missing anything.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
So there's plenty of things that everybody's busy and it's hard to see things. So I'm okay with however they decide they want to release it. I will just do that. It doesn't bother me either way.
I mean, I can see the merit in if you have time to watch everything and you just want to binge it. I could see, that working for some people. I can see it even working for me. I think there's certain things that I would just want to binge and get through, especially if there's only 2 or 3 of them. Like the Doctor Who episodes that they released on Disney Plus, like the specials. That's easy to binge through, because it's like 3 1-hour episodes. That's a Friday night or Saturday night sort of situation, right? Make some popcorn, grab some dinner or something, you can binge through everything. But when it's like 8, 9, 10, 12 episodes, then it gets harder to binge in one day. And that's when it gets harder to stay off social media so that it's not spoiled. But I get it. I can go either way, I guess. But I think I prefer the weekly just because knowing what schedules are like for me, I think I would have to stick with weekly on this one. We'd love to know how all of you watch your content. If you have a preference, drop a comment. Let us know which you prefer. Do you like them weekly or do you like them to drop all at once? And that way you can binge everything and have a binge-tastic journey through the MCU or whatever you happen to be watching. If you haven't joined us over on Discord, we'd love for you to join the community. Super simple to join. Head on over to podketeers.com/links. There you will find a few things, actually. You'll find a link to our latest episode, a link to the Quincentennial playlist. You'll find anything that we happen to be raising money for if we're doing some charity work at the time. You can find the link to our YouTube channel, the link to Larry's YouTube channel, Goofy Guys Adventures. If you're not following Larry, make sure that you are, especially on Instagram, because that's where he usually posts that he's going to be going live on YouTube. He tends to post 2 to 3 times a week and streams from the park 2 to 3 times a week. So make sure that you're following him. Podketeers.com/links is where you'll find. Oh, and the Discord link. That's what started all of this. If you haven't joined us on Discord, that's where you'll find the link to join us on Discord as well. All right, before we continue, I want to take this opportunity to thank a very special group of listeners known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. For more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. There you will find a list of some of our top contributors, a link to our Patreon, a little bit of info about what the FGP Squad is all about. But being a part of the FGP Squad family gets you some additional perks, like access to additional content that we've uploaded to Patreon, special section of Discord, discount codes for new Podketeers gear, access to our happy hour calls when we get an opportunity to do those, random giveaways, and more. So again, if you are interested or would like more info about the FGP Squad, head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, I want to clarify something, because remember last week we were talking about Steamboat Willie entering the public domain, and how the first thing that came to my head was like, oh man, now I can make Steamboat Willie shirts that have Steamboat Willie. But then I was doubting it because I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to be infringing on trademark and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I was right. Let me try to compress all the stuff that I kind of learned about this. So,
all right.
So Steamboat Willie, as a character and as a cartoon, has entered the public domain because the copyright has expired. We mentioned the whole like Mickey Mouse law and stuff like that. It was actually called the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. So in short, copyright essentially is a law that protects creators for ownership of specific items for a specific amount of time. It's usually associated with music, literary pieces, or artistic pieces. And at the time that Steamboat Willie was released, this was something that happened for 56 years. That was the copyright law, 56 years from time of publication. In the 70s, when they realized, oh, we're going to lose the copyright to Steamboat Willie or to Mickey Mouse, Disney began to lobby, to get that law extended. And so it was in 1976 that an extension was granted for copyright protection. Then in the late 90s, in the 1900s, in the late 90s, Congress passed an extension to the extension of the Copyright Protection Act, which added an additional 20 years, which gives us the current 95 years that copyright is essentially locked into. And because Disney had now lobbied the second time around, that's where the law got nicknamed the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. So it was like in the late 90s when it got that nickname. There's a couple of other things that kind of protect your work, right? There's also trademarks and there's also patents. Patents are essentially for inventions. Anything that you develop that's used in technology, stuff like that, that's a patent. It's for something that's designed. Whereas trademark is any combination of words or symbols, phrases, designs that can help a customer identify you as a brand. The difference between trademark and copyright is that copyright has this, well, now it's 95 years, right? It was originally the 56, now it's 95. Trademark, you can continue to renew as long as you want, as long as you're the owner. However, it has to be renewed every 10 years. So every decade you have to renew trademark. So here's where it gets a little crazy. So I think Disney saw the loss of Steamboat Willie coming, and instead of lobbying Congress like they did the last two times to extend copyright, they did something kind of like ingenious, I guess, is what some people would call it. Because remember in 2007 when the Disney Animation Studios went through the rebrand and the brand new Animation Studios intro included Steamboat Willie? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That now became a part of the trademark. And it's the Steamboat Willie that entered public domain. So while Disney may not be able to get people on copyright for using Steamboat Willie, they can get people on trademark because it's essentially being used to identify Walt Disney Animation, right? So it's essentially a way to kind of circumvent the copyright law. They kind of went around it by creating a trademark with Steamboat Willie. So the reason that I think things like Annihilation 88 and these other things that are in production or in the works using Steamboat Willie as a character is that they kind of fall into the Winnie the Pooh, what was it, Blood and Honey, right? Blood and Honey, where the character resembles the original version, but it's changed so much because they're this like, horror character now, that they can get away with kind of using it without getting into too much trouble, because there's no way that somebody would look at that and be like, that's a Disney thing right there, right? Because Disney's a wholesome family company, not a company that releases these horror films the way that Blood and Honey or these other Steamboat Willie properties are going to be portraying the character. Like, people are going to see that and realize that's not a Disney project. Whereas if I took Steamboat Willie and I put him on a Steamboat Willie shirt, it's close enough that people will be like, oh, that must be a Disney thing. It must be like a charity thing Disney's doing. So we could get in trouble for trademark at that point, because people would falsely identify what we are doing as a Disney company thing. So you have to be really careful. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. In the time frame of when the rebrand happened, and now, obviously, iterations of Steamboat Willie could be allowed, right? Because the copyright allows you to change it a little bit as part of the law to make it your own and to kind of, give it new life using that original property. But there have been multiple versions of Steamboat Willie released by the Disney company, whether it's in video games or whether it's even like in recent past when they released the last Mickey Mouse short that had all the Steamboat Willies popping out of the TV and running amok in the city. Remember? Mm-hmm. So they've covered the gamut of the original version of Steamboat Willie to this cutesy-fied version of Steamboat Willie to match the newer cartoons. And so now anything in between could actually get struck for copyright at that point, because the new versions of Steamboat Willie along the way are definitely copywritten. So it gets really complicated. Like, the more I got into this rabbit hole, the more I thought, like, I don't want to touch Steamboat Willie now. And I think that's what Disney was banking on. I think they got to the point where they realized that the idea of people going absolutely crazy, like putting Steamboat Willie, and this goes to what Andrew said. Like, Andrew was like, there's probably going to lose some steam. Like, everybody's excited about it. It's going to lose some steam. And I think you were right. I think we're going to end up with like maybe 3 or 4 projects. I think you had like 6 to 8 or something. I don't remember, or like 6 or something like that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think you're right. I think it's going to lose steam because people are going to begin to realize that it's going to be way more difficult than originally anticipated, because the updated versions of Steamboat Willie have now been copywritten, and anything in between could still get you in trouble. It's a really weird situation. It gets super muddy and it's complicated, and at this point I'm just happy that we have the Steamboat Willie logo the way that it is.
So what you're telling me is we can use Pete all we want from Steamboat Willie. He's not in the animation logo. He's not in any that other thing. So our logo will be Pete the cat from Steamboat Willie, or like that
easier
random goat.
No, I mean, you're right. Like, it might be easier to get away with something Steamboat Pete, maybe even the mini version from that cartoon. But Steamboat Willie as an actual character, there's so many new versions of it that people can get in trouble, not just for copyright now, even if it's not that original one, but also for trademark, violations. So I think if we still create the decals and the stickers, because it's just a screenshot of the original character, we could put on the sticker that this is not affiliated with the Disney company. This is just, a gift and stuff. And I think we'll be okay at that point. definitely can't put them on Steamboat Willie shirts or anything like that. But I'm telling you, the more that I learned about this and the situation and the why and how and everything, the more I thought, like, man, this is crazy, like, maneuvering around laws to make sure that you don't lose your character. And I get it, right? Like, you don't want Sony or DreamWorks or somebody creating Steamboat Willie and then creating, like, a character that can, compete with what you already own. But, man, I'm telling you, I was bummed the more that I learned about it. But at the end, I was just like, you know what? We've survived this long without it. We'll be fine.
Yep. Better be safe than sorry.
Yeah. So, in short, we can't use them. So, I think that's a good place to end the podcast, actually. I think that's a good little punctuation on something that, we talked about last week and just kind of learning more about it. And that's where we are now. But before we end this episode, we want to talk a little bit about episode 500. One of our favorite segments that we had an opportunity to do in recent years was Armchair Imagineering. And we're happy to announce that for episode 500, we're bringing back Armchair Imagineering, and we're tackling one of the lands that we never got an opportunity to, Avengers Campus. Now, we know that it's brand new. We know that, it hasn't been around very long. But trust me, there's a lot of things that we all would want to change. Like, we've all seen it. There's plenty of things that we remember being promised that weren't added to the land. But we've all seen enough Marvel things that I think we can come up with a few attractions or a few things for the land that, we might enjoy and that you might enjoy if they were actually a thing in the parks. So, for episode 500, we are bringing back Armchair Imagineering, Avengers Campus, and we may even have a special guest. What? So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Episode 500 is coming. And this week we also have Quiznyland, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a Quiznyland. Andrew has been, I talk about myself in the third person, has been very busy and overbooked himself, so there will be a Quiznyland this week. Do I know what it's about? No. There will be questions, and there will be stuff, and it might come late. Who knows? But there will be a Quiznyland, and you'll all love it. I promise. It'll be there. Or my name isn't Walter Elias Disney. Oh,
wait a second. If there's anything that I've learned is that over the course of the 10 years of the podcast, we were always big on releasing on Wednesdays, right? For a long time, we even had the Podketeers Wednesday hashtag. And because of a lot of the issues and things and changes and stuff that happened over the last several years, if there's anything that I've learned is that the people in our community, albeit small, right? We don't have this like massive community of millions and millions of listeners, but they're very understanding. But they're very understanding. They've given us a lot of grace whenever we've had things happen and episodes release a couple days late sometimes. But the great thing about syndicating a podcast is that it just ends up in your podcast app at some point, right? And because people tend to listen not always on release day, they end up listening a day or two later, sometimes 5 days later. Sometimes they stack all of their podcasts to listen on a Saturday or a Sunday while they're cleaning or something. Everybody's schedule is different. And I think that's been the wonderful thing and a great realization for me, because it was a huge pressure, I think, that was taken off of me, where if I couldn't release on a Wednesday because I couldn't edit or something, I would stay up all night, not sleep, and then drudge along for the rest of the week, like not feeling great. Where now, thankfully, the community that we've built essentially has given me the grace to like release a day late or 2 days late or whatever the case is while we're working through stuff. And for my health, it's been great. I get much more sleep than I used to, and it's been fantastic. Yep. So, yeah, episode 500, it's coming. We're excited. Entering year 10 of Podketeers, and we got more stuff coming, so stay tuned for that. All right, that's it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Part of the Podketeers Network.